What we've seen with the 2012 new census numbers is really the beginning of a transition that we're going to see from basically a society where whites have dominated the demography and the economy much of the last century, to what's going to happen in this century, where not too far in the future we're going to have a slow but continual decline in the white population as the minority population continues to grow. And what we've seen in these new numbers is the beginning of that tipping point that is, for the first time, probably ever, but certainly in our recorded numbers that we have going back at least a century, there are more white deaths than there are births. That doesn't mean there's a big epidemic of deaths or anything like that. It just means that we have an older age structure for the white population, so that increasingly we're going to get more deaths in that group. And because there are fewer women in there, fewer proportionately women in their childbearing ages in the white population, that white fertility is going to decline. Now this has happened a little bit earlier than we thought. The Census Bureau thought that this natural decrease, it's a technical term, would happen just before 2020. We're seeing it now in the 2012 numbers. My feeling is that the births have dipped down a bit because of the recession. They might go up just a little bit. We might see a tiny natural increase for a year or two, but the broad shift is unmistakable. And as we move into the next 30, 40, 50, 60 years, we're going to be seeing a very slow growth and then an absolute decline in the white population. What it means for the nation is good news. The good news is that we always were expecting this aging white population to grow very slowly and then decline. But the good news is that we have this younger minority population that's really the bulwark of our population growth. It's going to be the mainstay of the growth in our labor force, especially over the next 20 years when we have a lot of white baby boomers retiring. Over the next 20 years or so, we're going to have more than 10, 12 million baby boomers moving out of the labor force ages, actual decline in white baby boomers during those labor force ages. More than added to and complementing that are a bigger increase in minorities into those labor force ages. If we didn't have that minority growth, which is a result in large degree to the immigration that we've had over the last 20 or 30 years, the children and the second and third generation of those immigrants, we would be in a situation like a lot of Europe is, where they actually have a declining labor force population and a much faster aging population. It's the younger minorities that are helping us stay afloat. So as I say, it's good news. Parts of the country already are seeing this transition. The new numbers show that 14 states, their child population, I like to call them their toddler population, kids under the age of 5, 14 states are already majority minority. And that's going to continue to move ahead so that most of the rest of the country will be in that situation as we move along year after year after year. So you go to California or Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, places like that already know what's going on. And it's increasingly going to come to a state near you if you're not one of them yet.